The sky over Colorado had not been blue in 300 years. Dust storms rolled across the plains like ghosts of oceans long gone, and the bones of cities poked through the sand like broken teeth. The Galactic Empire had come without warning, their warships blotting out the sun as they descended with the calm certainty of conquerors who believed nothing on this world could answer back. They were wrong. Deep in the ruins of an old mountain observatory, hidden beneath layers of rust and wind-blown ash, a woman watched them through cracked glass. Her name was Alara. She wore a cloak stitched from the sails of forgotten satellites, its edges frayed but still shimmering faintly in the dim light. Her eyes were silver, not from injury or age, but from something older, something not entirely human. Long silver hair fell past her shoulders, tangled with tiny wires that hummed when she moved. Beside her, curled in a nest of shattered lenses and steel beams, slept a dragon. His name was Viral. He was no larger than a warhound, but his presence filled the room like a held breath. His scales were black as void space, shifting between matte and gloss depending on the angle of light. His wings, folded tight against his back, pulsed with a slow internal rhythm, like stars breathing. A thin collar of woven alloy circled his neck, etched with symbols no living tongue could read. It had been placed there by the last human council, long before the skies went dark. Alara reached down and brushed a hand over Viral's head. He stirred, one golden eye opening halfway. "They are here," she whispered. Viral sat up slowly, stretching his neck toward the broken dome above. Outside, the sky burned with the exhaust trails of Imperial drop pods. They fell like meteors, carving scars into the earth. Each one carried soldiers clad in polished armor, their faces hidden behind masks shaped like snarling beasts. They moved with precision, scanning the land with humming devices that pulsed red and gold. The Empire believed Earth was dead, empty, ripe for harvest. They did not know the truth. Centuries ago, humanity had faced extinction, not from war but from silence. The stars had gone quiet. Signals vanished. Colonies blinked out without warning. In their final hours, Earth scientists discovered the cause. A wave of cosmic erasure, moving outward from the galactic core, consuming civilizations it deemed unworthy. Humanity chose not to fight it. Instead, they did something no other species had dared. They left. Not in ships, but in thought. They uploaded their memories, their culture, their hopes into a network buried deep beneath the planet's crust. A ghost archive powered by quantum echoes and planetary resonance. Then they triggered a false extinction event. They wiped their cities clean, silenced their machines, and vanished from the galaxy's sight. But they did not leave Earth defenseless. They left guardians. Alara had been chosen not for her strength, but for her stillness. Once she had been a human girl named Lynn from a coastal town in Oregon. She loved star maps and humming old songs while fixing broken radios. When the Ascension Protocol activated, she was the only one who refused to leave her body behind. The Council honored her wish. They altered her, slowly, carefully, blending her DNA with ancient elven strands recovered from pre-collapse vaults. Not magic, but advanced bioarchitects shaped her into something that could endure centuries. Think like a human and move like a shadow. Viral was her companion, her weapon, and her conscience. He was not born of fire and myth, but of engineered plasma and resonant memory cores. His soul was a copy of the last dragon signal ever recorded, a creature humanity had once dreamed of, then built to protect what they loved. Now, as the Empire's boots crunched over the bones of Denver, Alara stood. "Time to remind them," she said. Viral unfolded his wings with a sound like tearing silk. He padded to her side, tail curling once around her ankle. They moved through the ruins like mist, silent and sure. The observatory's lower levels led to a tunnel system built during the Cold Wars of old Earth. The walls were lined with faded murals of constellations and peace signs, half buried under dust. At the tunnel's end stood a door marked with a single symbol, a circle with a line through it. The universal sign for do not enter. But beneath it, scratched in fresh chalk, were 3 words: "You won't get another chance." Alara touched the words. They glowed faintly under her fingers. She remembered the day the last human ambassador stood here, eyes wet with sorrow. "If they ever return," he had said, "show them we warned them." Not with fury, with truth. Now the Empire had returned, and they had not listened. Outside, an Imperial scout unit fanned out near the base of the mountain. Their leader, a junior officer named Driel, held a scanner that beeped erratically. "Energy signature is off the scale," he muttered, "but there's no power source. Nothing active. Maybe it's a natural anomaly," another soldier offered. Drell shook his head. "Command said Earth was inert. Dead rock. This feels watched." He turned slowly, scanning the ridge above. For a second he thought he saw movement. A flash of silver, a shadow too smooth to be rock. Then silence. Back in the tunnel, Ilara pressed her palm to a hidden panel. The wall slid open, revealing a chamber filled with dormant machinery. At its center stood a console shaped like a tree, its branches made of fiber optics. She placed Viral on a wide stone perch beside it. "Stand ready," she told him. Viral lowered his head, eyes closing, but his scales began to shimmer, not with light but with stored memory. Faint images flickered across their surface. Children laughing in a field, a musician playing a violin under cherry blossoms, a scientist writing equations on a fogged window. These were the echoes of Earth, the things worth protecting. Ilara activated the console. A low hum filled the chamber. Deep beneath the planet, something ancient stirred. Far above, in orbit, the Imperial flagship Iron Maw received a new alert. "Sir," a technician called, "we're detecting a subspace resonance originating from Sector 7, Earth's northern hemisphere. Pattern matches no known language, but it's broadcasting on every dead human frequency." Commander Kale Vorix, a broad-shouldered veteran with scars across his left eye, frowned. "Play it." The bridge fell silent as a voice filled the air. Not loud, not angry, but calm, almost sad. "You came to claim a grave," it said. "But this is a cradle. Leave now. You won't get another chance." The transmission ended. Vorix laughed. "Primitive trick? Someone's playing ghosts." He ordered ground forces to locate the source. They would find Ilara, but they would not find her alone. As night fell, Ilara climbed to the highest point of the observatory. Viral followed, his claws clicking softly on the metal stairs. The wind howled around them, carrying the scent of ozone and burning metal from the Empire's camps below. She looked up at the stars. Not the real ones, hidden behind dust, but the memory of them etched into her mind. "They think we're gone," she said to Virel. He exhaled a wisp of smoke, warm and steady. "Then let's remind them what happens," she said. "When you wake a dragon on Earth, below, an Imperial patrol reached the base of the mountain." Ilara raised her hand and Virel took flight. His wings beat once, then twice, lifting him into the stormy air. He did not roar. He did not burn. He simply flew toward the lead scout, moving faster than sight. The patrol never saw him coming. When the first soldier collapsed, clutching his head as if hearing 1,000 voices at once, panic spread. By dawn, 3 squads had vanished. By midday, the Empire declared the mountain contaminated. By dusk, Commander Vorix ordered orbital scans. But deep in the ruins, Ilara smiled. The first warning had been given. And somewhere beneath the ice of Antarctica, something old and kind began to wake. The Empire did not retreat. They dug in. Camps spread like rust across the high plains, their domes glowing under the pale sun. Supply lines stretched from orbit to the surface, humming with energy and arrogance. They called Earth Sector 0, a blank slate for their new order. But in the shadows, something hunted them. Ilara moved like wind through the ruins. She left no footprints, no heat signature, no trace, only silence and the aftermath. Imperial patrols vanished overnight. Sensor towers flickered and went dark, their circuits filled with strange pollen that glowed faintly blue. Drones returned to base with their memory cores overwritten by lullabies. Virel was her blade and her messenger. Each time he struck, he did not kill. He showed. When he passed near a soldier, that soldier would collapse, not from injury, but from visions, real, vivid, overwhelming. A child blowing dandelion seeds, an old man teaching his granddaughter to fix a bicycle, a woman singing to her plants at dawn. These were not illusions. They were echoes pulled from the ghost network, delivered through Viral's resonance field. The Empire called it a psychic plague. They quarantined infected troops, burned their gear, scrubbed their memories with neural wipes. But the visions returned. stronger each time. Commander Kale Vorik stood on the command deck of his ground fortress, staring at the holographic map of Colorado. Red dots blinked out one by one. His jaw tightened. "This is not warfare," he growled. "This is haunting." His science officer, a sharp-eyed woman named Tessa, stepped forward. "Sir, the anomaly is tied to a single biosignature, small, reptilian, but emitting energy levels that defy physics, and there's a humanoid figure with it. Age unknown, species unclear. Our scans can't lock on. It's like she exists between frames." "Find her," Vorik said. "Burn the mountain if you must." But fire did not work. The more they scorched the land, the more the earth seemed to remember. Plants no one had seen in centuries pushed through the ash, wildflowers with petals that shimmered like old screens. Streams returned where there had been dust. The planet was healing, and it was angry. Alara watched from a ridge north of the Imperial perimeter. Virel rested beside her, his sides rising and falling slowly. His scales had changed. Where they were once solid black, they now swirled with faint patterns, constellations, city grids, faces. The more he carried Earth's memories, the more he became a living archive. She reached into her satchel and pulled out a small device, a sphere of glass and copper no bigger than her palm. Inside, a tiny light pulsed in time with Virel's breath. This was the core echo, the last broadcast sent by humanity before they vanished. It was not a weapon. It was a key. "They still don't understand," she murmured. Virel lifted his head and let out a low hum. The sound traveled through the ground, invisible but felt. Miles away, beneath a collapsed subway tunnel in what was once Denver, a dormant power node flickered to life. Lights blinked on in a dead station. A train car groaned as its door slid open, revealing rows of seats covered in glowing moss. The Empire noticed. Their satellites caught the anomaly. Vorix ordered a deep scan pulse, a wideband energy burst meant to map every hidden structure beneath the crust. It would also fry any organic matter in its path. Alara knew what it would do. The pulse would not just reveal the ghost network. It would wake it, and Virel was not ready. That night, she led him south, toward the Rocky Mountains. They traveled under moonlight, filtered through thinning dust clouds. The air smelled of rain for the first time in decades. As they crossed a dry riverbed, Virel stopped suddenly, his head tilted, eyes narrowing. Alara froze. From behind a cluster of boulders, a small figure emerged. A child, no older than 10, barefoot with matted brown hair and wide eyes. She wore patched clothes made from old blankets. In her arms, she clutched a rusted music box. "Are you the Sky People?" the girl asked, voice trembling but clear. Alara did not answer right away. Survivors were rare. Most believed all humans had either ascended or died, but some had stayed, hidden, bred in silence. "Who are you?" Alara asked. "Maya," the girl said. "My grandpa said you'd come. He said the dragon would sing before the end." Virel stepped forward slowly, sniffing the air. Then, gently, he lowered his head. Maya reached out and touched his snout. The moment her fingers made contact, Virel's scales flared bright. Images flashed across them. A greenhouse under a dome, a man teaching a child to read from a paper book, a dog barking at stars. Maya gasped. "That's him. That's Grandpa." Alara's chest tightened. This girl was part of the echo, not just a survivor. She was connected to it. Her eyes held a faint blue shimmer, like distant stars seen through fog. "Your grandpa knew about the network," Alara said. Maya nodded. "He said Earth remembers everyone, even the ones who left." Alara made a choice. She could not leave the girl here, not with the Empire scanning the land, not with the pulse coming. "Come with us," she said. Maya did not hesitate. She climbed onto Virel's back, clutching his neck ridge like a saddle. He did not object. In fact, his hum deepened, as if comforted by her presence. They reached a cave system before dawn. Inside, the walls were covered in drawings. Hundreds of them. Ships, dragons, women with silver eyes. Generations of hidden humans had been watching, waiting. As Alara lit a small biolamp, Maya opened her music box. It played a tune, old, simple, achingly human. Varel lay down and closed his eyes, his breathing syncing with the melody. But rest was short. At sunrise, the sky screamed. The Imperial pulse fired. A wave of golden energy rolled across the land, invisible to the eye but felt in the bones. The ground trembled. Deep below, ancient machines whirred to life. In the Pacific, something massive shifted. In Antarctica, ice cracked along perfect lines, and Varel screamed. Not in pain. In awakening, his body arched, wings flaring wide. Light poured from his scales, not fire, but memory made visible. The cave walls lit up with scenes from Earth's past, cities, forests, oceans teeming with life. Maya covered her ears, tears streaming down her face. Alara grabbed the echo core. It was burning hot. The pulse had done what she feared. It had linked Virel directly to the ghost network. He was no longer just a vessel. He was becoming its voice. Outside, the Empire's sensors went wild. Every buried structure lit up like a star. Orbital rings long thought dead began to spin. Dormant satellites blinked online, broadcasting on every frequency. Orcs stared at his screen in disbelief. "What is this?" he whispered. Tessa's voice was hushed. "It's not a defense system, sir. It's a library. And it's reading us." Ilara knew they had to move. The central node, the heart of the network, was in Antarctica. If the Empire reached it first, they would try to destroy it. Or worse, control it. She looked at Maya. "Can you ride him?" Maya nodded, eyes wide but steady. Virel stood, taller now, his form subtly changed. His wings were broader, his claws sharper. But his eyes were the same, golden, knowing, kind. "Then hold on," Ilara said. They burst from the cave just as Imperial skiffs roared overhead. Energy bolts cracked the stone behind them. Virel leapt into the air, dodging with impossible grace. His wings beat once, and they were above the clouds. Below, the land began to rise, not in anger but in remembrance. Ruined skyscrapers straightened, highways reassembled. Solar panels bloomed like flowers on rooftops. The ghost network was not fighting, it was rebuilding, and Ilara, Maya, and Virel flew toward the south, toward the ice, toward the truth. Forks watched the live feed from orbit. For the first time in his life, he felt small. Who were they? He asked no one. The answer came not in words, but in a single image that appeared on every screen in the fleet. A child planting a seed. In cracked earth, smiling as green sprouted around her fingers. The Empire had come to conquer a grave, but Earth was very much alive. Antarctica was not ice anymore. Not entirely. As Ilara, Maya, and Virel descended through swirling clouds of snow and ionized mist, they saw it. Great arcs of black stone rising from the white, humming with soft blue light. The ice had melted in perfect circles, revealing platforms, towers, and domes built not by human hands alone, but by the Earth itself, guided by the ghost network. Steam rose in spirals, carrying the scent of ozone and old rain. Virel landed gently on a smooth obsidian pad. His claws clicked against the surface, and the ground responded. A ripple of light spread outward, unlocking doors that had been sealed for centuries. Maya slid off his back, breath visible in the cold, eyes wide with wonder. "It knows us," she whispered. Ilara nodded. The network was awake, and it recognized its own. They walked toward the central spire, a needle of crystal and alloy that pierced the sky. Inside, the air was warm. Walls pulsed with slow rhythmic glows like breathing. Data flowed not on screens but in streams of light that curled through the air like vines. This was the heart. The place where humanity had stored not just their knowledge but their soul. Maya reached out and touched a floating thread of light. Instantly, a voice filled the chamber, soft, female, familiar. "Hello, Maya." Tears filled the girl's eyes. Grandma, the voice belonged to a woman long gone but preserved in the echo. Images bloomed around them, birthday cakes, bedtime stories, hands teaching small fingers to tie knots. The network remembered love as clearly as it remembered war. Ilara watched, heart aching. This was why they fought. Not for territory, not for power, but for this, the fragile, stubborn beauty of human connection. But time was short. High above, the Imperial fleet regrouped. Orcs had called for reinforcements, and something worse had arrived. The Void Priests. Clad in robes of woven shadow, they stepped from a black vessel that made no sound. Their faces were hidden behind masks of polished bone, their voices tuned to frequencies that made metal vibrate and minds bleed. They believed silence was purity. Noise, especially memory, was corruption. And Earth, with its singing stones and whispering winds, was the loudest sin in the galaxy. Their leader, High Priestess Lyra, stood at the edge of the ice shelf, gazing at the glowing spire. "Burn it clean," she commanded. Massive sonic lances unfolded from the Imperial warships, weapons designed not to destroy matter, but to unravel resonance. They would fire pulses that shattered molecular bonds through sound alone. One shot could turn a mountain to dust. 3 shots would silence the ghost network forever. Alara felt the first pulse before she heard it. A low thrum in her bones, a pressure behind her eyes. Viral growled, his scales rippling with defensive light. "We have to stop them," Alara said. Maya looked up, eyes fierce. "How the Pacific Sentinel?" Alara replied. "It's the failsafe. If the network is in danger, it rises." But the Sentinel was deep, and the lances were already charging. They ran back to Varel. He was larger now, his form shifting with every passing hour. His wings shimmered with constellations, and his breath left trails of stardust in the air. He knelt, and they climbed on. As they lifted off, the first sonic lance fired. The sound hit like a physical blow. Miles away, a glacier shattered into powder. The ground cracked. In Colorado, rebuilt structures trembled and collapsed. The ghost network flickered. Varel roared, not in rage, but in harmony. His voice matched the lance's frequency and inverted it. The shockwave canceled itself out in a burst of silent light. But it was only a delay. Lyra ordered all lances to fire at once. Alara urged Varel faster. They flew west, skimming over continents that now bloomed with color. Forests regrowing, rivers returning, animals emerging from hidden dens. Earth was fighting back, but it needed time. Deep in the Pacific Trench, something stirred. A shape longer than a city, smooth and dark, began to rise. Its surface was covered in barnacles that glowed like stars. It had no eyes, no mouth, only a single ring of light around its middle, pulsing slowly. The Sentinel was not a weapon. It was a shield, built by humanity's last engineers, powered by the same resonance that gave Varel life. But it needed a guide. As Varel approached the ocean, the water parted. The Sentinel breached the surface, water cascading off its back like liquid glass. Maya pointed. "It's waiting for us," Alara understood. The Sentinel recognized Varel as a kin soul. Together they could stabilize the network against the lances. Varel dove toward the ring of light. As he passed through it, his body flared with impossible brightness. Knowledge flooded into him. The design of the Sentinel, the frequency of Earth's core, the exact harmonic needed to protect the planet. He turned in the air, facing the approaching storm of sound. The lances fired. 3 beams of pure sonic energy ripped through the atmosphere. Varel met them midair. He did not block them. He absorbed them. His body stretched, twisted, glowed. For a moment he was not dragon, not machine, but pure echo, a living bridge between earth and sky. The energy flowed through him and into the Sentinel, which released a counterpulse, not of destruction, but of preservation. A dome of calm spread across the planet. Sound died. Violence stilled. Even the wind held its breath. In orbit, Imperial systems went dark. Not broken, paused. As if the universe itself had said, "Enough." The lances fell silent. Lyra screamed in fury, her voice cracking the ice beneath her feet. But on the ground, something unexpected happened. Soldiers removed their helmets. They looked at the reborn forests, the clear rivers, the sky now streaked with real blue. One dropped his weapon. Then another, and another. Vorik stood alone on his command deck, watching a live feed from a drone that had landed near a field of wildflowers. A bird, real, feathered, singing, landed on its lens. He did not order it destroyed. He whispered, "What have we done?" Back in Antarctica, Ilara, Maya, and Varel returned to the spire. Varel was exhausted, his scales dull, his breath shallow, but he was alive. Maya placed a hand on his snout. "You saved us." He blinked slowly, then nuzzled her palm. Inside the chamber, the ghost network showed them something new. Not memories of the past, but possibilities of the future. Humans and aliens walking together. Cities built with trees growing through them. Ships that sailed on light, not fuel. Alara knew the war was not over. The Void Priests would not surrender. They would rather erase everything than accept a universe that remembered. But Earth had made its choice. It would not hide anymore. As night fell, the Sentinel sank back into the ocean, its light dimming but not gone. Viral curled around Maya, keeping her warm. Alara stood at the spire's edge, looking up at the stars. For the first time in centuries, they were visible, clear, and full of hope. The Empire did not attack again. Not with weapons, not with ships. Instead, they sent a single shuttle, white and unmarked, gliding down through the newly clear skies of Antarctica. It landed softly on the obsidian pad, its doors opening to reveal Commander Kale Vorix alone, unarmed, his armor gone. Alara watched from the spire's entrance. Viral stood beside her, still weak but alert. Maya peered from behind his wing, eyes curious, not afraid. Vorix walked forward slowly, his boots crunching on frost. He stopped 10 paces away and bowed his head. "I come to speak," he said, "not as a soldier, as a man." Alara did not move. "You burned our forests, shattered our silence, hunted what you did not understand." "And I was wrong," he said. "We all were." He looked up, his scarred face open. "The things we saw, the memories your dragon gave us, they were not lies. They were gifts, and we treated them like weapons." Maya stepped forward. "My grandpa said everyone deserves a second chance, even the ones who hurt you." Vorix's eyes softened. "Your grandpa was wiser than my whole council. He explained that the fleet was divided. Many soldiers refused orders. Some even destroyed their own weapons. But the Void Priests remained. Lyra had declared Earth a heresy that must be cleansed, and she had activated the Black Hymn, a doomsday protocol buried in the core of the Imperial flagship. If triggered, it would collapse the solar system into a singularity of pure silence, erasing not just Earth but all memory, all sound, all life in a radius of 10 light-years. "She plans to fire it at dawn," Vorix said, "from orbit. There's no defense, not even your network." Alara's blood ran cold. The Black Hymn was not a weapon of force but of forgetting. It did not kill bodies, it unmade stories. It would leave the universe poorer, emptier, as if Earth had never been. Viral growled low in his throat. Even weakened, he knew the threat. Maya looked at Alara. "What do we do?" For the first time, Alara hesitated. She could let the network unleash its full power, awaken every buried defense, turn Earth into a fortress that would burn the sky. But that was vengeance, and humanity had left that behind. "There is another way," she said slowly. She turned to Vorix. "Can you get us onto the flagship?" He nodded. "I have clearance codes, but it's suicide." "Not if we show them what they lost," Alara said. Their plan was simple, dangerous, full of hope. Vorix smuggled them aboard in a maintenance pod. Viral, hidden in a cargo bay, pulsed with low energy, masking his signature. Maya wore an Imperial cadet uniform 2 sizes too big. Alara moved like a ghost through the ship's vents, guided by whispers from the ghost network, echoes of old blueprints, forgotten service routes. They reached the core chamber just as Lyra began the final sequence. The room was vast, circular, filled with chanting priests. At its center floated the Black Hymn, a sphere of absolute darkness swallowing light, sound, even time. Around it, energy conduits glowed red. Lyra stood before it, arms raised. "Silence is mercy," she intoned. "Silence is peace." Alara stepped into the light. "No," she said. "Memory is mercy. Memory is peace." Lyra turned, eyes blazing. "You, the keeper of noise. You will be the first erased." Priest drew sonic blades. But before they could move, Viral burst through the ceiling. He was not the same dragon who had fought in Colorado. He was something more. His body shimmered with the collective light of Earth's past, every song, every laugh, every whispered secret. He did not attack. He opened his mouth and released a single tone. Not a roar. A broadcast. The ghost network poured through him, not as defense but as truth. Every person on the ship was flooded with visions. Not random memories but personal ones. Things they had forgotten. A mother's lullaby. A first kiss under alien stars. The smell of rain on dry soil. The Void Priests screamed not in pain but in recognition. For the first time they remembered what silence had cost them. Lyra fell to her knees. Tears cut through the dust on her face. I had a daughter, she whispered, before the silence took her voice. I forgot her name. Alara walked to her. Her name was Elin. She loved to draw birds. Lyra looked up, stunned. How do you know? The network remembers everyone, Alara said gently. Even the lost. Even the angry. Even you. The black hymn flickered. Without the priest's will to sustain it, the sphere began to destabilize. But if it collapsed on its own, it would still detonate. Virel stepped forward. His eyes met Alara's. She knew what he meant to do. No, she said. There has to be another way. He nudged her hand with his snout, then looked at Maya. Maya understood. He's not dying, she said softly. He's becoming. Virel leapt into the air and plunged into the black hymn. For a moment, everything stopped. Then light exploded outward, not blinding, but warm, golden. The darkness unraveled, not into nothing, but into memory. The black hymn transformed. It became a star of sound and story, hovering gently in the chamber. The priest wept. Vorix stood in awe, and high above, the Imperial fleet powered down its weapons. Alara touched the new star. It hummed with Virel's presence, not gone, but changed. He was now part of the network, part of the sky, part of the song that would never end. Maya took Alara's hand. He's still with us, Alara nodded, eyes wet. Always. They returned to Earth not as victors, but as witnesses. The Empire offered surrender. Not of force, but of heart. They asked to learn, to remember, to heal. Alara agreed, but she set one condition. You will not rule here, she said. You will listen. And so, in the ruins of a world they thought dead, the first interspecies council began. Humans who had hidden underground emerged. Imperial soldiers planted trees with their bare hands. Maya taught alien children how to whistle through blades of grass. Lyra, stripped of her title, worked in a greenhouse, growing flowers she had not seen since childhood. She whispered names every night. Elin, Joran, Tail. Names the silence had stolen. And Alara stood on the ridge where it all began, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors no machine could replicate. Virel was gone from the ground. But when the wind blew just right, you could hear him in it. A hum, a promise, a lullaby for a healing world. Spring came to Earth for the first time in 300 years. Not the harsh, dry gusts of dust storms, but real spring. Gentle rain, soft green shoots pushing through soil, birds nesting in the branches of trees that had regrown overnight. The Ghost Network did not rebuild the old world. It made something new, something kinder. Alara stood at the edge of what was once Denver, now a city of light and leaf. Buildings rose not from steel and glass, but from living wood wrapped in solar vines. Streets curved like rivers, lined with benches where humans and Imperial soldiers sat together, sharing food and stories. The air smelled of bread, wet earth, and something faintly sweet, like old memory made real. Maya walked beside her, taller now, her eyes steady. She wore a simple tunic woven from fibers that changed color with the weather. On her shoulder perched a small drone shaped like a sparrow, its lens glowing blue. It recorded everything, not for war, but for the archive. For the future. They're ready, Maya said. Alara nodded. Today was the day. High above, in low orbit, the first interspecies embassy floated, a ring-shaped station grown from asteroid rock and seeded with Earth flora. Its core pulsed with the same gentle rhythm as the Ghost Network, and at its center waiting were the Ascended. They had returned, not as gods in shining ships, but as gardeners in simple robes, their faces calm, their voices soft. They had watched from beyond the veil of stars, waiting to see if Earth would choose vengeance or hope. Now they stepped through the portal, barefoot, smiling. Their leader was a woman named Lynn, no relation to the girl Alara once was, but a namesake chosen in honor. She carried no weapon, only a seedling in a clay pot. You kept the promise, Lynn said, embracing Alara. We tried, Alara replied. The ceremony began not with speeches, but with silence, a shared breath. Then, one by one, representatives from every species present placed a hand on the embassy's central node. Human, imperial, priest, child, machine. They all touched the light together and the galaxy changed. Deep in the Pacific, the sentinel rose again, but not to fight. It sang. A low, resonant tone that traveled through water, air, and space carrying a simple message. You are welcome here. From 1,000 worlds answers came, not in warships but in seed pods, in art and music. Civilizations long silenced by fear began to speak again. The Black Hymn, now a star of memory in orbit, pulsed with every new voice growing brighter. Ilara looked up. High in the sky, circling the newborn ring world that hummed with life, was Varel. He was no longer just a dragon. His form shimmered between scales and stardust, his wings wide enough to shadow cities. When he roared, it was not fire that came, but rain. Gentle, healing rain that carried whispers of forgotten lullabies to every corner of the planet. Children pointed and laughed. Elders bowed their heads in thanks. Maya stepped forward to address the crowd. She was young, but her voice carried the weight of 2 worlds. They came to conquer a grave, she said, but they found a cradle. And now we offer every being in the stars the same choice Earth was given: to remember or to forget, to heal or to harm, to be alone or to belong. The Imperial fleet, now repurposed as peacekeepers and builders, lowered their banners. In their place, they raised a new symbol, a circle with a sprout in the center. Life returning. Vorik stood among them, no longer a commander but a teacher. He showed young recruits how to plant trees, how to listen to the wind, how to say "I'm sorry" in 100 languages. Lyra worked in the embassy's memory garden, tending flowers that bloomed with colors no eye had ever seen. Each petal held a story. She whispered to them daily, especially the ones named Elin. And Ilara, she walked the new Earth, quiet as always. She visited old ruins not to mourn but to thank. She sat with survivors, with aliens, with machines that dreamed of oceans. She taught them the old songs, the ones that carried Earth's heart. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Earth's own and a small artificial one grown from salvaged warships, Maya joined her on the ridge. "Will you stay?" Maya asked. "For a while," Ilara said. "Until the next Guardian wakes." Somewhere deep in the network, a new echo stirred. Not human, not elf. Something born of this new time, a child of memory and mercy. Virel landed beside them, his scales warm, his eyes full of stars. Maya reached out and touched his snout. "You kept your promise." He let out a soft hum, and the wind carried it across the planet, a lullaby for a universe learning to hope again. The Galactic Empire had come with fire and pride. They left with seeds and songs, and Earth, once thought dead, now sang loudest of all.